Hello and welcome to a live Kerfefe break on Deprogram with Keri Smith. People in the chat were asking if we're waiting for the bells. It's a siren. There's a siren that happens here every day at noon, which is when my podcast starts. So I usually let that siren go. But welcome if it's your first time here. This is a live show we do Mondays and Fridays where we just hang out and talk about what's in the news with different friends of the show. And today I'm very excited to have two return guests with me, Sara Higdon and Lila Hart. Hi.
Hello.
Hey,
And Tiger's here too, guys. Just so you know.
Aw.
Perfect.
He says hello. Can you just remind people, just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you and where people can find you online for anyone who's not familiar.
Yeah, so I'm Sara Higdon. I am a content creator. I do YouTube. You can find me across all social media platforms. You can go to my website, sarahhigdon.com, get all those links. It's youtube.com/Sara Higdon. And then Instagram and Twitter, it is Sara Higdon _.
Cool.
Awesome. And I am Lila Hart. I am a stand-up comedian based out in Dallas, Texas. The big project me and my husband just released is the American History of Voter Fraud. You guys can find that on my YouTube channel. We are almost at 10,000 views. And once we reach 10,000 views, we will be releasing a trailer for our next documentary. So it's very exciting. You guys can find me at lilahart.com. That is LILAHART.com. And love Lila Hart on all social media platforms.
That's your actual name. She's not saying love Lila Hart. The name is Love Lila.
My name is Lila. I have Love Lila Hart on all my social media platforms because I remember I created my YouTube when I was like 13. I was like, I want everyone to love me. So it'll be like Love Lila Hart.
It's alliteration, which I like. And it's a good way to remember it. Here, I'm going to put a little banner up. I didn't know that you and your husband were doing documentaries until you messaged me this week. We were talking about stuff. So you have a whole full-length documentary out on YouTube called American History of Voter Fraud. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. It is. It's about 2 hours long. It's pretty incredible. It's getting a lot of great reviews, and the people are loving it. So I really encourage everyone to share it, watch it, get awake to what is actually happening in the world, and I hope you enjoy it.
How has your husband always been into film? How did you guys decide to do this?
So, my husband and I, we started stand-up comedy together. Well, we met doing stand-up comedy, and he was doing a lot of, he was filming people's specials. So that's how he got into, editing. So all the editing is done he did it all himself. And he did all the research and the writing, and, I'm just his supportive muse.
That's awesome. I think documentary film is right now, it's one of the places where it's at, is to, just look there. There we go. There's your handles, right? Love Lila Hart.
That is
Sara
correct.
Higdon.
Yeah.
And I'm just really, I just have to thank God that we are so blessed that it is still up on YouTube. I remember when I had a viewing party here at my house, and I showed it to a few friends of ours, and they were like, oh, this is going to get taken down off YouTube. Like, this is crazy. You're even putting this up there. But I put it up there anyways, and it's still up, and it's getting shared, and it's doing really well. So I'm just, praise God for that it hasn't been taken down.
Did you put it on any other platforms too? Is it on Rumble? And
it is also on Rumble. Yes, Sarah.
Yeah, I wouldn't think you'd want to do anything without putting that on Rumble.
I was going to say, you should have a backup plan, because if it goes like full on viral, they're taking that stuff down.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to let that stay up. So it's called American History of Voter Fraud. You guys can go check it out. And then I'm just curious, what's your next, if you do another documentary, do you have an idea?
That is a surprise. That's coming out when we hit 10,000 views. We've got the trailer for it. It's going to be good. We have a couple of them, so.
Oh, right on. That's awesome. Congratulations. Cool. And then Sara, I know you were recently in Vegas for Freedom Fest. Is that right?
Wow,
absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
What is Freedom Fest? I've talked to you about it and a couple other people, but tell us what it is.
Freedom Fest is actually it's a massive gathering of people all over the libertarian movement spectrum. We have more liberty-leaning Republicans. Andrew Yang was speaking. Spike Cohen was there. Rand Paul. Just a ton of people, and I mean, we had over 200 speakers. I think is what it is. It's a 4-day event. Multiple panels, just a big convention center. It was at the Mirage in Vegas. I was lucky enough to be on a panel with Olivia Rondeau, Evans O'Brien.
Okay, I've heard of Evans.
Yeah. Terry Kibbe, Matt Kibbe's wife, was on the panel. And
what were you guys talking about?
She's gonna kill me. So our panel was about how feminism or free speech is a feminist issue. That was the basis of what we were talking about, and it's interesting because we really didn't have any feminists other than Evans on the panel.
One second, you guys.
No problem.
But yeah, so it was just an amazing event. I got to meet Zuby. If you see some of the pictures, you can go on my Instagram. It's
right on.
The people I was meeting, like Zuby, Corey D'Angelo, Spike Cohen, Viva, just everybody. I hanging out with my girl Eliza Blue, like just had a fantastic time. Plus it was Vegas, so it was just amazing.
Was that your first time there?
It was my second time in Vegas.
Oh, okay. Oh,
First
cool.
time I went for my sister's 21st birthday, so
very different.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to hear that. It's nice to hear that Vegas is like open it up again and doing conferences. And because I remember for a while, one of my friends, and she's sometimes in the chat, she might be here today, a little ragamuffin. She was telling me stories during the lockdowns, how Vegas was a lot more restrictive than I thought it would be. Being in the Southwest, they had a lot of different lockdown and mask policies, and it's good to hear it's coming back.
Yeah, last year they actually held Freedom Fest in South Dakota because Vegas was closed.
Wow.
Okay, I've only been to South Dakota one time. I went there for this comedy festival in 2019, so it was really, really cold, and there was like nothing. It's a random thing that I went to.
There might be, if there's anyone in South Dakota who wants to talk about the state's charm, let us know. I don't know if I've been. That's one of the few states I don't think I've been to, actually. Well, so I just wanted to hang out with you guys today and talk about what's in the news. And I have to say, I'm sometimes, especially lately, this is maybe a good thing, except for when I want to do a show. I managed to avoid a lot of the stuff that goes on in the 24-hour news cycle. So this morning, my husband was like, "What are you going to talk about Biden having cancer?" And I was like, "Biden has cancer?" And he's like, "You don't know this?" I'm like, "No, what happened?" Like I'm just somehow I'm like, it's a good thing, I guess, tunnel vision for some stories. But I looked up this story and I figured, why don't we just start with this in case there's anybody who, like me, who didn't know what's going on. Right? Did you guys see this?
Yeah, I did.
It was like the clip where he was like, "Everybody I know has cancer, myself."
He's like me and everybody I grew up with.
Yeah. The thing is, people are, I guess people are still confused about what he's talking about. If he accidentally dropped a bombshell or if it was a gaffe. This is a Fox News headline that says Biden's cancer claim shocks Twitter users, either biggest bombshell or biggest gaffe. And then if you scroll down, he was doing a speech in Massachusetts about climate change and the harm of oil refineries. And this is the quote. He says, "My mother drove us rather than being able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up with have cancer. And why for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation." So that's the quote. He says he and a bunch of other people he grew up with have cancer. And they've since released a statement, haven't they? Saying,
it said something like he was talking about his previous skin cancer, the melanoma that he previously had, which in the context of that statement makes absolutely no sense. And then conveniently, he's got COVID again.
And then he has
Well,
COVID again. Okay.
the thing I think is so funny is that we have just gotten to a point in our country where we've just like accepted that our president, has dementia, and that, he might just be saying things, and that's just, what he does. And that's when you know that we're really in trouble, because it's just like, oh, well, he just, he slipped up his words because he has dementia probably.
Yeah, that's I think that is the takeaway from this story. You're exactly right, Lila, is that we're at a point now where no matter what he says, people are kind of like, maybe it just wasn't, maybe it's just a gaffe. I mean, can you imagine saying about any other president? Maybe Trump, but I can't think of any other, like, can you imagine saying that about Obama? If Obama was up there and was like, that's why I and many others have cancer. And you're like, well, that could just be him doing it. Like, just kind of write it off.
Yeah, we just accepted that, he says things, and that's why it's like the presidency really is a joke. So everybody should watch American History of Voter Fraud and see why.
There you go. No, you're right though, because he does. He just speaks, and he doesn't speak in coherent sentences. It's a running joke that he's got dementia. He's not the one leading the country. I think we all can kind of see this. He had the notes that said sit down in a meeting, like he's got to be told step by step what to do. It's sad because it's elder abuse.
Yeah,
and it really, but you're right. If it was Trump, Trump said things, and you had to like backtrack because that's just Trump, because they were just outrageous, outlandish statements. It wasn't because he was just making incoherent statements or just gaffes every single time he speaks. So you have a president who speaks like this, and then Kamala Harris, who can't say a sentence without saying the same thing 5 times in a row. So,
yeah, I don't know if I actually played on this channel the other recent gaffe of his where he said, stop, repeat the line. But I'm just going to pull that one up because I don't think I did that one.
Too.
And that's a great example.
Yeah.
Well,
he's just reading what's on the teleprompter. It was a very Ron Burgundy moment.
Yeah. Well, so here's the latest update on whether or not he has cancer, which is kind of important, I guess, to know about the president. The White House clarifies, this is from a 13 News Now article, the White House clarifies Biden's cancer comments. The president is not announcing a new diagnosis. During a speech Wednesday, President Biden said he has cancer. The White House has clarified that he was referring to minor skin cancer removals before his presidency. So that's what they're saying, that it was just some melanoma, non-cancerous. So, okay, that's the update. But here's this video. This one. I don't know, Sarah. I originally, when he was first running, I thought it was sad. I was talking about how it was elder abuse and they were using him, but I kind of don't care anymore. I know that's awful, but I'm sort of like, I don't really have a lot of sympathy for him anymore. That's sad, but
because there's a lot of points where he's making, especially like now what he's trying to do with climate change and all this stuff. It's either sad because he's going with it, but you wouldn't feel that same way if he hadn't been doing a lot of these same things like his whole career, like pushing for like the Green New Deal and all this stuff, like his whole career, like doing all this stuff. And now when he's got dementia, they're actually forcing it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're all just kind of just jaded by all of this too. It's, so I'm totally with you, Keri. It's like you're past the point of like feeling bad for him. It's like, okay, we all know we're in Obama's third term.
Yeah. Dom. Okay. Thanks. It's not just me too. Yeah. Dom also says, yes, Keri, I feel like I really do not care anymore about the day-to-day national political stuff. Yeah. And I don't care about how they're using him anymore. And I don't know. But this, I don't keep up with a lot of it, but we're going to play this. This is one of many gaffes. That's why it's kind of, we all just brush it off now because we've gotten so used to it. I don't know what the people who voted for him think about all this, how they're able to just brush it off, but we'll see.
I quote, women, I'm just a quote now from the majority. Women are not without electoral or political power. It is noteworthy that the percentage of women who register to vote and cast a ballot is consistently higher than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line. Women are not without electoral and or political, or let me be precise, not and or political power. They are embracing it.
That's incredible. End of quote. Repeat the line. Women are not without.
Wow.
That's our president, guys.
I know. Well,
Well, you know,
And-
the people who voted for him, they actually have Stockholm syndrome. That's why they're, you know, people don't want to admit that they're wrong, that they've been lied to and they've been fooled. But it's like, look at our gas prices, look at inflation. Like, you know, stolen elections have really horrible consequences. And that is what we are all living through right now.
Mhm.
Are these
Well,
consequences.
that and diversity hires. Like this actually came up on the panel that I was on at Freedom Fest, was diversity hires. Not actually hiring people because they're qualified for the position, but because that they meet these certain characteristics. And look at what it's done to our country. Like it's falling apart because none of these people are qualified for the jobs that they're in. What does Pete
Exactly.
Buttigieg have to do with infrastructure? What has he ever done for infrastructure in his career ever? You know, it makes absolutely no sense. And then even the vice president can't speak in coherent sentences either. You know?
Yeah, Kamala Harris. Well, that was his first high profile diversity hire right
Yeah.
there. He said before he announced who his pick was, he said it's going to be a woman of color or a woman.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you limiting your options like that right up front?
Yeah. Supreme Court. I mean, look what just happened with the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
We'll see how that works out, but it doesn't seem like it would work out pretty well. And part of the issue with that too is because then, you know, now everybody gets hurt because of diversity hires. So everybody thinks that everybody's a diversity hire, even if you are the person that's qualified for the job.
It must suck. I know that. I never want to be on. I started seeing social justice people do this a few years ago in the science world, where you would suddenly have these straight white men who were woke, though they would stand up after some pressure from other social justice people and they would say, I'm not going to be on this science panel at this science convention unless they have a woman and a person of color and all that. And it's like, who would want to be the person that's then asked after that, right? Where it's like, I'm here because of my race and my sex, guys. Like, screw you.
Yeah.
I would just rather you just pick the best qualified people. In that way, like you're saying, there's this backlash that happens where then people, I think rightly so, look at any person who gets nominated to a position, maybe in your workplace or what have you, where they're like, I wonder if it was because of she's a woman or because of her race or because they're trans or because, you know, any number of things.
Well, I just feel like everybody wants to have, like, it's like now it's like cool to have a mental illness or a disability or like something, you know. I wanted to bring this up. I saw Whitney Cummings was on the cover of this magazine and she's talking about how she like lived with migraines and what a debilitating thing that was. And it's just like, oh my gosh, these migraines. And it's like, for someone like me who actually has a disability, like a real disability where I had to actually overcome stuff, it's insulting that you want to make this migraine issue this huge fucking thing that it's not. But now disability is cool, right? Just like having a mental illness is cool. Having migraines is cool. It's insane.
Yeah.
Well, they're faking DID on TikTok. It makes no sense, you know, and that.
Those are my favorite.
DID, that's a rabbit hole for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about. DID used to be called multiple personality disorder, and now it's called dissociative identity disorder. And there is an explosion of it online among younger people, especially like you said on TikTok, YouTube. It's a lot of young people. Some of them have millions of followers, and some of them actually switch between their personalities on camera.
It's literally like this. It's like, okay, this is Lila, and then it's like, hi guys. Julie is now here. Sorry about that. Oh my God. I don't know. I just switched.
How long until Biden appoints someone with DID?
Well, you know what's really sad about this? Because I found out about this when I was doing a video for Ariel Scarcella on this issue. She did a video a few months ago on this, the TikTok stuff. There was actually somebody that had DID that was shamed by the woke community because one of her alters is what they call them. One of the alters actually was a Hispanic woman, and she was shamed off the like absolutely
I've seen
shamed.
this. I've
And
seen this.
she actually had the disorder.
Okay, so this is what I don't know about that one, but I did see another one where it was a famous YouTuber, had a huge following. She would do all the characters. I call them characters because I don't believe she has DID. And one of them was black, and she was woke, and so the woke mob came for her and said she was appropriating for one of her identities. But the thing is, when they're doing that, isn't that a mind like a mind fuck? Because you're sort of like, wait a minute, you're saying that that DID is real. And if DID is real and that this woman has all these different characters, then she can't be appropriating on purpose. But then over here, you're saying, but you are appropriating. Everything you're doing is fine, except one of them can't be black. like that's a line
That's
too
racist.
far. Yeah.
That is racist. Like, why couldn't it be black?
Oh man, we should do a whole episode on DID because there's a lot we could show people. One of them, I'll tell you this, because I did go down that rabbit hole last year. One of the most famous ones, I'm blanking on her name right now, but she was a YouTuber who does DID stuff, probably still doing it. She started dating another YouTuber who also had DID. And so now, if you're following along at home, these are two people who say they have multiple personalities, and some of their personalities are not even human. Like one of my personalities is a ghost, and it's like, or an animal.
Yeah, or a dog or a tree or
yes. And so she started dating this other famous, and everybody was shipping them. That means when the kids are like really excited about their relationship and they're all excited that they're together. So then it turns out her partner is exposed for having done a lot of child pornography kind of drawings. And posted them online, and some other really weird sexual fetishes involving sneezing and kids and all this other, I don't know, just a creepy pedophilic kind of artist. So that YouTube personality, he tried to claim that it wasn't his fault because it was his other personality doing it, and that he wasn't aware that his personality. So one of his personalities was this creepy pedophilic kind of, but it wasn't him. Isn't that amazing? I think in the future, if we continue down this path, people are going to try to claim that in court.
Yeah.
They'll be like, I didn't murder the person. It was my ghost personality.
It was my ghost.
Yeah.
It was the ghost.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
But that's, we're glorifying mental illness, and this is the
evolution.
disturbing.
You get woke points for having different
more
illnesses.
things. Also,
Yeah.
okay, I saw this other one too, where it's people like finding out they have adult autism or all these different things, and they're posting about it. And it's just like, for me, it's, I don't know. It's like, if you're able, I don't know about these disorders, but I'm like, if you're able to make videos and post and do these things, like why are you taking on this, like, I'm a victim kind of person? It's just like, and it's, I guess for me too, I feel like I missed the boat of when disability was cool, because when I was growing up, like, it was not cool. I hid my disability for so long. Like, when I told this story on Keri's podcast last time I was on, but when I was in college, I was not accepted into a sorority because they didn't want to be known as a house with a crippled girl. 2 years later, after I graduate, I'm at my desk at work, and I see on Good Morning America, this sorority accepted a woman with Down syndrome in their sorority, and they were being celebrated, where just 2 years prior, I wasn't allowed in because I was too crippled, so it's just like, it's just gone so far. And now, I don't know.
It's this weird, woke is sort of this, sometimes I view it as this counterbalance that, like you said, just goes way too far. Because in the entertainment industry, I used to work in comedy on the business side of it, and there definitely was an old boys club, and it was easier to get attention if you were doing what people in that old boys network liked and the kind of comedy they liked. And so a lot of straight white guys, I think it probably did help them to get TV shows and stuff. But then there's this overcorrection where woke became like popular and trendy, and it just swings entirely too far in the other direction. Instead of saying, hey, can we find this middle ground where we're not picking people based on race or sex or sexuality. They go this completely other way where they're actually telling people in the writers' rooms now on comedy shows, like, sorry, I can't promote you from writer's assistant to writer because you're a white man and you're just going to have to, we're going to hire someone from outside the room for the open position because we have to fill it with a woman of color or what have you. That's like way too far in the other direction. So
Absolutely.
it's an overcorrection.
Well, but I wonder though. I wonder if they would hire me.
You are not the right kind of trans person, Sarah. I don't know. Do you know Cameron Pasha? I have him on the show sometimes. He's lovely.
I don't.
So he's a screenwriter and he's Muslim. And for a while, he was getting a lot of job offers in Hollywood, like really hot, because they were like, we need a Muslim in the room, right? But he is not the right kind of Muslim. And so I know it's become harder for him in some ways because of his some of his political opinions don't match the groupthink on things. And he can't be used as a puppet. How about that? Can't be used as a Muslim puppet. So,
and I'm just going to go the opposite direction and just go out there and make all the jokes because that's what I do. I mean, you guys know me personally behind the scenes. I'm very much making trans jokes all the time.
Yeah. Are you going to try stand up for real? I saw your tweet.
I did. I don't know. We'll see. Because I mean, when the whole Dave Chappelle getting canceled, like when that what is it, the place canceled on this week, like the day of the show, that was shameful. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to do stand up and I'm going to tell all the jokes. All the jokes that nobody else is allowed to tell, I'm going to tell them and nobody can stop me. And I have plenty of jokes about my life that I can just unload on. I have so many stories. Even from Freedom Fest, I was joking. I had Zuby laughing the one day because
nice.
So this is what we were talking about. Is you heard my panel was why free speech is a feminist issue,
mm-hmm.
And Olivia was like, I mean, I don't know why I'm on this panel because I'm not really a feminist. And I said, I don't know why I'm on this panel. I'm not really a woman.
That's what I love about you, Sarah.
I just think
jokes like that offend everybody. It'll be good.
Yeah.
We just need to get to a place where we've really fallen far when people are afraid. Like, people are just so afraid right now to post what they want to post. Like, even with my documentary, I had friends tell me, like, message me privately and be like, Lila, I really like this, but I'm afraid to share it on Twitter because I don't want to get like banned, or I don't want to get, and it's like, what are we, China? Because that's what it sounds like, that where people are so afraid. And me and my husband were the only other documentarians who have made a movie on voter fraud. And the only other one that's out is 2000 Mules. So that's how far we've strayed in our country, is that people are so afraid to speak. They're so afraid to talk about things. And now you're being called brave just by saying what everybody's actually thinking. We are self-censoring. And that is a very scary place to be in. And that is like, it's communism. And that's what it is.
We are. And I do it even on this channel because, like, we just did for book club for Deprogrammed, The Real Anthony Fauci by Robert F. Kennedy. And we're not going to put it on YouTube because I know it's an automatic strike and it'll get taken down.
It's so sad what has happened and how big tech and these companies have literally, like, they're dictating what we can say on here.
I had two somebody's going through my Facebook and flagging old posts, which happens to me periodically. So I just had two taken down, old ones about COVID. And the funny thing is, when you get these posts taken down, you can't share them to tell people, here's the post that was taken down, look at it and draw your own conclusions. You can't even do that because that one will get taken down. Then you're reoffending, right? So what they do is they put us in a weird position. I was like, I wonder if I should tell people this happened, because I do talk to people who just are in the bubble and they don't know about any of this. I talked to a very well-meaning person who's super in the left world and only reads certain sources and only knows certain things and believes a lot of the stuff I don't believe anymore. I was talking to her recently and I said something about, she was saying that there's a lot of misinformation online and she's glad that the social media companies are starting to crack down and have fact checkers. And I said, okay, and talking to someone like that, you have to figure out how to challenge that without just like, you're wrong. So I said, well, what about when they're taking down scientific studies? Because 2 of these posts I've had removed are links to peer-reviewed studies in prestigious magazines and journals, science journals. And I told her Facebook redid the TOS this past year, where when you get those kind of things taken down, you can go and read about why. And it tells you they're going to remove something, even if it doesn't violate the TOS, even if it's factual information, they're going to take it down if it could cause vaccine hesitancy. Do you think that is okay? And that kind of question, I think, did make her think a little bit about like, well, I didn't know they'd do that. And it's like, yeah, you don't know because A,
everything.
Yeah, they take it all down. And A, you're kind of in an echo chamber. But B, even if you do see my posts, how am I supposed to tell you that happened? Because I can't show you the post.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's why it's so important, Keri and Sara, the work that you do and the fact that the 3 of us are on this talking together right now, because we show people a different way of thinking. And like Sara, especially, you are a voice for a lot of different people. And Keri, what you do is so important. The fact that you use your platform to give people an opportunity to share and to actually talk about these things that people are afraid to talk about. And the more that we come together and support one another, this is how we're going to fight it. Mm-hmm. We have to continue doing this. So I love, Sara, that you went to Vegas and you were on that panel, and that joke that you said, it's just like, it's kind of giving that like relief to be like how ridiculous some of these ideas and thoughts are, because we are so the opposite of what they try to claim to be. Like, I'm disabled, but I'm not a victim. Okay. Yeah. I'm not a victim. I'm a victor. And in every area of my life, I'm going to continue to become successful. And I'm not going to let my disability, I'm not going to use that to get a leg up. In fact, it's a part of who I am, but it's not everything of who I am. You know what I mean? I feel like that's just kind of the same way the both of you view what our woke points would have been. And we take it and we do the opposite.
Yeah.
So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. They hate people like you, Sara.
I know. Have you seen my Twitter feed lately?
Yeah. Oh man. Hey, so since you mentioned Dave Chappelle and we were talking a little bit about comedy and censorship, I'll add this to the topics for today. This just happened for anybody who didn't see it. This is a theater in Minneapolis, First Avenue. They just canceled a Dave Chappelle show, and it's been moved. It's been rescheduled to another theater. So this is their statement. I'm going to read this. First Avenue tweeted, "We hear you. Tonight's show has been canceled at First Avenue and is moving to the Varsity Theater. See our full statement for more." So here's the full statement. "The Dave Chappelle show tonight at First Avenue has been canceled and is moving to the Varsity Theater. To staff, artists, and our community, we hear you and we are sorry. We know we must hold ourselves to the highest standards, and we know we let you down. By booking Dave Chappelle, we let you down. We are not just a black box with people in it, and we understand that First Avenue is not just a room, but meaningful beyond our walls. The First Avenue team and you have worked hard to make our venues the safest spaces in the country." Safest spaces? That for a comedy show? That's a safe space? Okay. "And we will continue with that mission. We believe in diverse voices and the freedom of artistic expression. But," there's the but. "But in honoring that, we lost sight of the impact this would have. We know there are some who will not agree with this decision. You are welcome to send feedback." By the way, they've limited their comments now, so you no longer can send feedback on this tweet. They restricted it because so many people were giving them feedback.
They were getting ratioed pretty hard.
Yeah. If you are a ticket holder, look for an email with information on your ticket transfer to the show at Varsity Theater. So that's their cowardly statement.
And what they should also know is that they don't book for Varsity Theater. So it wasn't like they were like, oh, we're just going to move this to a new venue that we still own. No, it was a completely different venue. It wasn't that they moved it. That's who Dave Chappelle decided to go with.
Dave Chappelle found a new venue after they canceled him.
Yeah.
Well, I also feel like I've lost respect for a lot of these theaters and these comedy clubs. They can say all this stuff, but when you mandated, these mandates and wouldn't allow performers like myself who had a medical exemption to enter your club or perform, then all of this is BS. Okay.
Yeah.
From the get. So it's like, this is communism right there, but they've mandated things, and that's literally why I had to leave Los Angeles, because Hollywood is a cult. If you're going to mandate that, and it makes me sick every time I see like a new like movie or commercial or any of these things that are out in Hollywood. All I think is, oh, everybody who had participated had to have that mandated thing, and in order to participate in Hollywood, you have to do that mandated thing, which is a cult. That's a cult. If you're mandating everybody to do something to participate, then you're a cult, and Hollywood is a cult.
Yeah. Your body, our choice.
But they canceled on a black man for telling jokes.
Yeah. That's the best part of this whole statement, Sarah.
Yeah.
We believe in diverse voices and the freedom of artistic expression. Okay.
No, they don't.
That's a lie. Thank you, Lila. They do not. That's a lie. And this is I think this is really important, because this is not just about woke. Woke does this all the time, but other people do this. Individuals do this. They say words that they don't actually believe. They're liars. And this is why it's more important to look at people's behavior than to look at what they're saying, because they're saying we believe in diverse voices and the freedom of artistic expression, while shutting down and canceling diverse voices and freedom of artistic expression. So you're telling me more with your behavior, guys.
It's
I don't know.
awful.
It pisses me off.
Is communism right there.
Yeah.
That's why I said that I'm gonna do it, because I want to go to one of these venues like this and just go, well, what's the problem? I'm a diverse voice, right? But
you should
think. I mean, woke comedy is not funny. We know that. So
you should go over the top with the trans thing in your poster. Just be like, trans comic doing trans comedy in the trans stage with the trans, like just put it all over and be like, how could you not book me?
I should. I'm gonna make a new account, and it's gonna be my comedian account. It's gonna be good.
So stupid. Okay. I don't know what else you guys want to talk about, but I have one other news story queued up that was kind of silly. We can hit on it if you want.
What's this one?
Oh man, this was the other one. My husband was like, "Did you see the AOC faked wearing handcuffs?"
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was.
Did you see Siraj Hashmi arrested AOC with fake handcuffs?
No. What?
Look at this picture. I mean, go on Siraj's and Twitter handle.
And enough with the mask on the face too. Like, really, I hate that. Kamala Harris over there wearing her little mask as she gives a presentation. You're not around anybody. So it's all a show, and masks don't work. So enough with that.
Oh, we're gonna get this video pulled down. There's the picture.
Again, always, every time I'm on, Keri.
Allegedly, you know what? It's not going to get pulled down. It's not, Keri. And actually, masks are wonderful. They're really great. They're super good for the environment. I find them all the time when I'm like walking around. I was on a bike ride and I saw like all these masks floating in the river. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I love masks. I'm like such a big fan of masks. I honestly, myself, I wear 3 of them in the car when I wear 8. I made a dress made of masks. I mean, I should have worn it right now. I love masks. And the vaccine, it's amazing. It works. Everyone get 5 shots. You should do it. It's wonderful.
Can I just let me tell you this? Some of my family members have the coof right now, and they're being pressured by their doctors to get the 4th jab. 3 of them are, and one of these family members has had it twice. And so when I was talking to them, sometimes it's hard to get through, but when I was talking to them, I will say the person who's had COVID twice, they're like, well, I kind of don't think I'm going to get the 4th one. I was like, really? Because I don't really want you to get it. But why are you thinking that?
They should get 3 more. I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
Right.
honestly, they should get 6 more of them.
It's
They need to listen to the doctors and listen to the scientists, because this is science. Okay.
Yeah.
And science says that these things work. And the president also said that if you took all these shots, you would not get sick. So it's like, clearly they didn't take enough of them. They should listen to Biden. He's a genius.
D Subversion agrees with you, Lila. He says real believers quad mask. Okay, so let's
everywhere I go, everywhere.
Let's play this video. So AOC was arrested along with some other people at a pro-abortion rally, and people started commenting on the way she walked away. You can see in the video footage here, she's got her hands behind her back. It looks like she's been cuffed.
Every time I see her, I just hear Alex Stein's voice saying, "My favorite big booty Latina."
Hot like a tamale. So,
oh my gosh.
I actually read through this. Now, I'm going to probably disagree with some people in the chat and maybe with you guys. I don't think she was, as much as I think she does fake things, I think she's histrionic, and I think she embellishes things. Like even with the Alex Stein video, we saw she went on Instagram video and was saying that he told her she had a luscious ass. He didn't say that.
Yeah.
But here she said that she wasn't faking. She said, putting your hands behind your back is the best practice while detained, handcuffed or not, to avoid escalating charges and resisting arrest. And I mean, I think this is a non-story. I think that's probably true. If the cops were leading me away, I would probably put my hands back there too. I really would. So I don't know. I think it's a non.
She loves the attention. Okay.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
a beautiful
it was-
big booty Latina. She loved strutting around, being like, look at me getting arrested. Yeah, she loves it. She loves the attention, and she loves all the money she gets and all the fame and, publicity. It's great. She's
Well,
an
did you
attention
see-
seeker, so good for
Did you see
her.
the follow-up? The follow-up
Juicy
story
booty.
on that. So the follow-up story on that too is then it came out that they were basically approached by a Soros organization to submit themselves for arrest. So they put themselves in they literally went up there to be arrested and then claimed that they were being arrested.
Oh, so they wanted the attention from the
It
arrest.
was.
Of
Yeah.
course, she loves it. She
Yeah.
Well, and that was, well, did you see
loves
the
being
worst
a
part?
sexy big booty Latina, and she loved holding her hands behind the back, and she just knew all these men are going to be like jacking off thinking about her. She goes to sleep at night thinking about how hot she is, and she loves the attention and all the money. She has a lot of money from doing this.
The other thing that the other one that really was interesting, right, was Ilhan Omar when she walked away arrested.
Why? What did she do?
She walked away with her hands behind her back and didn't even wait for the police officer, just walked with her hands like this.
Really?
walking away. Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yep.
Look at me being arrested, you guys.
There's not even a cop behind me, but hey.
I do agree. They want the publicity of having been, I'm such an activist. I was arrested for the cause, right?
Okay, I will tell you guys this. One time I was actually arrested in 2015, and they handcuffed me behind my back, okay? And they actually put actual handcuffs behind my back, and I took my handcuffs, put them under my legs, and got my handcuffs up here, like in the front, and I got in so much trouble by the police officer. He was like, "You can't be doing that." And I'm like, I don't like them behind my back. Like, I'm still handcuffed, but I'm just very flexible. I was able to maneuver myself to get him in the front.
Yeah.
They were upset. So
Did
saying.
you throw down your disability card?
Oh, no, this was the best part. Your guys are going to love this. So I'm in the back of the cop car, right? And I was like, I need to pee. I have spina bifida. And he was like, this is what the police officer said to me. He goes, you don't have spina bifida. My nephew has spina bifida and he's in a wheelchair. You don't have spina bifida. I'm like, dude, I do have spina bifida and I need to pee. And it's uncomfortable for me to have my handcuffs behind my back like that because I have spina bifida and I have back issues. So I prefer for the handcuffs to be in the front. And he was arguing with me because he could not believe I could. He was like shocked that I was able to walk because his nephew has spina bifida and is in a wheelchair. And he had never seen somebody with spina bifida who could walk. And so I had this police officer arguing with me.
We talked about this when I had, if you guys haven't seen it, I did a whole interview with Lila about her story. Also one with Sara on this channel. And the
Both
one
of
with
those
you,
out.
huh?
I said, check both of those out.
Check both out.
And
The one
I
with
also
you,
did an interview with both of you.
Yeah,
that's
check that
true.
out too.
The one that when we talked, you were telling me about how within the woke kind of disability advocacy world, how there's this hierarchy,
Oh yeah.
and where people are like, well, you're not disabled enough or as much as me,
It's
kind
the
of thing.
oppression Olympics. Okay. It's the oppression Olympics. That's what it's called. That's what we call it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, you know what it is? It's like when I go to these some events, I go to disability events for the children, okay? So that I go for the children and the parents of disabled kids to show them, hey, you don't have to believe everything that the doctors are telling you that your kid's never gonna be able to do, all right? They told my parents I'd never be able to walk. I would have learning difficulties. I wouldn't be able to have children. I would probably die by the time I'm 13. And the truth is, I'm 31 years old. I've gotten married. I'm a homeowner. I'm a stand-up comedian, and everything is going great. And I will become a mom someday. All right. I'm going to do all of those things. And I do that to show parents, because there was one time I went to this disability event. There was a little baby. She was in her, it was a walk and roll for spina bifida. Okay. And the parents saw me walking up to this event, and their baby had spina bifida and she wasn't walking yet. And they came up to me and they're like, oh my God, you can walk. They told us she'd never be able to walk. And I'm like, you don't have to believe that. I was like, don't believe that. Like, anything is freaking possible. 4 years later, I visit this family and the little girl is walking.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, so it's
awesome.
like, I really feel like if you are going to play into this victim mentality, it's the mind is so powerful. Okay. Our mind is so powerful, and they don't want the human race to know how powerful your mind is. That's why they're constantly programming you with this negativity and the world is evil and be afraid and fear. When the truth is, you are so powerful. Each one of us is so powerful. There is more than enough resources in the world for us to all live the life of our wildest dreams, but they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to believe that. They want you to think that the world is overpopulated. There's not enough money. There's not enough food. When the truth is, there's plenty. There is plenty. They want to dumb you down. They want to keep people stuck on their phones, scrolling, being jealous of one another. When the reality is, you should be out there creating, writing, making music, doing whatever it is that your God-given talents are. And don't listen to all this mess. If you stay stuck in the fear, you'll never reach your truest potential. And that's why it's so important for voices like Keri and voices like Sara to speak up. And Sara, I do believe you should definitely do stand-up. You should definitely tell your jokes. And Keri, don't be afraid. This is not going to get taken down. Oh, we thought our video that
We did.
and it's not taken down. You guys should watch it. It's amazing. It's hilarious. And we need the support of the people. The more comments you guys put on this, the more you guys share, the more you share Keri Smith, and the more you share Sara, that is what is going to help us. It's the power of the people. Okay? Because the big tech can try to shut us down, but the people together, if we stand up together and really support one another and really realize that there is more than enough, like we could all live our wildest dreams. And you cannot let the programs that they put in our minds, that they've literally put. Did you guys know that children up until the age of 4 are all geniuses, but it's through the programs of negativity that parents put in their heads that dumbs them down. But every child up until the age of 4 has the capability of being a genius.
What do you mean?
And it's a study where like kids really are so freaking smart, but we tell them they can't do something or no, or we put our own negativity on that child. But if we were to uplift children and nurture that positivity, the potential they have is it's so huge. But we limit people through these limiting thoughts, like, oh, you'll never be able to do that. Oh, you can't do that. Do you know how many times people told me I would not be able to walk. I would not be able to do certain things. I would be dumb. I would have learning disabilities. But my mom refused to believe that. And I read so many books. The reason I have the intellect that I had is because I literally read so many books. I remember being 9 years old and I read Alice in Wonderland. That's a book this thick. I read it in 12 hours. That's all I did all day. Children should be reading. Children should not be on the phone. Children should not be in front of the computer. We need to have them read books. and use their imagination. Your imagination is powerful. So yes, I really believe you're capable of doing anything. Sarah, if you want to become the greatest transsexual comedian that's going to talk about this, I believe you can, if you believe you can, because you are powerful. And Keri, none of people take it down. What you're doing is so important. This is important because nobody else is doing this.
I think you're going to be a great mom.
Thank you.
Yes. That was one for the ages, and very powerful. So.
I think you're going to be great. Yeah, very encouraging mom. Look, I love this chick, says Night Train. She's on Flex. People told me I'd never have a normal life again as well.
Yeah. Yes, Lila for president. That's what they said in the chat.
Lila for president. Yeah, people love it too. Yeah, anyway, I'm excited for you to be a parent. Well, I have another, I'm going to switch gears. Excuse me. I have one other news article we can talk about if you want. Now, this is something I saw Comics Division share, and I looked it up because he was just sharing a screenshot. And there's a couple different articles. I'm going to pull up the RT one. I know I'm pulling up a Russian site. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Wait, I messed it up. Hold on. There we go. So I was an anthropology major. I was a biological anthropology major. I didn't do anything with it after school. But because my minor, women's studies, kind of corrupted my mind a little. But this is interesting to me, and I thought this would be coming eventually. So I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen gender activists, the gender activist part of social justice. I've seen them celebrate things like getting hospitals to stop putting male or female, like the designation of biological sex, on the hospital admission bracelet, which I think is crazy. It's kind of important for your doctor to know what your biological sex is.
Gosh.
And so now they're pushing for, they don't like the fact that anthropologists can identify the biological sex of human remains. And so there's this push now. I'll just read some of this. This headline is "Scientists Urged to Degender Human Remains." LGBT activists and academics argue that researchers can't know how ancient individuals identified themselves. Sorry. A number of LGBT activists and academics are pushing to bar anthropologists from identifying human remains as male or female, arguing that it is impossible to know how ancient individuals identified themselves. Gender activists have long been pushing to inject modern sensitivities into the academic field, adding that a tweet from Canadian master's degree candidate Emma Palladino posted earlier this month has seemingly reignited the debate. Palladino, who is seeking an advanced degree in archaeology, argues that transgender individuals, quote, can't escape the quote that they were born with, because archaeologists who find their bones one day will assign them the same gender they had at birth. Palladino called the practice of assigning gender to an ancient human bullshit. It's very academic.
I really don't care what they identify bones as. I don't think they would either. They're dead. And they've been dead for a long time. So why are we even spending an ounce of time even worrying about this? Well, I say that, and then I released a video yesterday talking about Webster's Dictionary redefining the word female, male, boy, and girl. And that and it kind of goes back into this space, because it's like if you change the definition of male and female to gender identity, like what your gender identity, you identify as female, then it kind of goes into this this stuff where this is bullshit.
It's absolute bullshit. I mean, I think I know what the real meaning is because they don't, this ideology is actually, for as much as they call other people anti-science, they are anti-science in a lot of ways.
Yes.
They want to muddy the waters and pretend like biological sex isn't real. When I first started falling for this stuff in college, they were telling me back then, this is a long time ago, first they teach you that gender and sex are different things and they're separate categories, and that it's only gender they're talking about when it comes to, being able to identify what you feel inside, and change. but now they're saying the same thing about biological sex. And so I think that's why they're going after these hard science fields like archaeology and,
Well, yeah.
and anthropology, because they don't want scientists to be able to say, we found these remains and they're male, because it destroys their entire narrative that they're pushing, that biological sex isn't real. If a scientist can say, yes, it's possible to say that this was a male skeleton, then that destroys what they're trying to teach.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
postmodernism and critical theories in general. All critical theories, so CRT, queer theory, etc., they're all based on postmodern neo-Marxism, where they say that there is no such thing as absolute truth. And so this is kind of the slippery slope, right? If we can get you to say that maybe these bones don't even have a sex, then they can get you to believe that sex is a social construct.
Yeah.
Just like CRT advocates say that race is a social construct. Like, those are the types of things that these people push. And so maybe this is that first step. I mean, it's not the first step, because obviously we're seeing it everywhere else, but this is maybe if we can get our foothold in here, like you said, with scientists and archaeologists and stuff like that, then they can't talk about sex in terms of any social sciences, right? So you can't talk about sex in any science capacity. And like you were talking about with even at hospitals, that's just dangerous. Like, I was just talking to somebody this weekend who their I think boyfriend works in hospitals, and they said absolutely, like, it can be very dangerous if you don't know somebody's trans. Like, for me to go into the hospital, you have to know that, like, there's certain drugs that could interfere with the medicines I'm taking. They could interfere with my biology a little bit differently than a female. So if I go in there, and then as well, I do still have to get my prostate checked, because I have a prostate and I can't change that, you know, and I went. So
yeah. There was
dangerous.
a story just to illustrate this. Do you guys remember, this was a few years ago? Just to give one example, I think this one was in the UK. Here, I'm going to put it on the screen. Pregnant transgender. This is from Metro. Yeah, it was in the UK. Pregnant transgender man's baby died because the nurse didn't realize he was in labor.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it says when he arrived at the hospital, when the 32-year-old man arrived at the hospital with severe abdominal pains, a nurse did not consider it an emergency, noting that the man was obese and had stopped taking blood pressure medicine. Sadly, that misdiagnosis resulted in the unnamed man's, they mean biological woman's, baby dying before it could be delivered, and has sparked a push for awareness among hospital staff.
See,
so now they're going to go in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
They're going to try to go in the opposite direction on it.
What do you mean?
That's what's interesting about this too, is like even that's confusing, because they're like unnamed man's baby. What's like they should write biological woman, transgender man.
Or just say female. Just say female.
The female or something.
Baby.
But now it's it's very confusing even in their wording. We've really strayed.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is you teach people that it's rude or insensitive to talk about biology.
Yes.
But then something like this happens, and now they're saying, "Oh, we need to talk about biology," and then a month down the road, the woke will be like, "Oh, we don't need to talk about. You shouldn't be talking about biologies, and even in hospitals anymore." And it's just going to go in circles like that. And so they're kind of going back on what they were doing. They're realizing maybe they're realizing that it was wrong to not understand. But this also goes back onto the trans patients. We're telling trans people that they shouldn't have to even self-identify, even at hospitals. Like, we're telling fat people that they shouldn't have to be weighed at a hospital. Like, that's the issues that, I mean, those are all dangerous stuff. And we're talking about medicine to help save people. If you should be able to be as open as humanly possible with your doctor, that should be a no-brainer, but that is something that's even not allowed.
You know what's interesting, what you said about, you mentioning about fat people not being weighed at hospitals. This friend, I've mentioned this before, but I have this friend that I knew when I was woke. I was in the woke world, and I knew her from the comedy world and the activist world, both. And not a doctor, okay, somebody who worked in comedy and social justice activism, ended up getting this job at Harvard Medical School as the director of some like LGBT acceptance board or what have you. Her job was to indoctrinate Harvard medical students
Wow.
on the fact that biological sex wasn't real. And she was the one who was pushing. I saw eventually one of her, she celebrated an accomplishment of getting this hospital to remove male and female from the bracelets. But Harvard Medical School flew her around the country to do these same trainings for medical students at other universities. No medical background, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because in addition to the gender ideology stuff she was pushing, she was also teaching them what you just said, Sarah, that that there's no healthy weight, and that being fat can be healthy, and it sort of flies in the face of, well, it does fly in the face of science, but this is what the medical students are being taught, and that it's offensive to weigh patients. So
unbelievable.
Yeah.
But insanity is the new normal. So again, then it is believable.
Yeah.
They would do that. But it's just we don't want to offend people so much now. Like, people just don't want to hear the truth. And there's something I've kind of realized now too. I've stopped saying my truth or your truth. I don't even say that anymore. It's just the truth. Okay. We need to focus on the truth. None of this like, well, this is our truth and your truth. No. There's only one truth. Just one truth. That's it. And we want to say all these things to not offend people, but really doing this is going to hurt people and end up getting people killed.
Yeah. I just want to put on the screen a super chat from Night Train. Thank you, sir. Night Train gives $5 and says, doctors told me that my epilepsy could not be controlled. I researched and found keto was used in the past. It worked, and now meds can control it. Unbreaded.
Amazing.
Literally unbreaded if you're doing keto, right? Huh? No bread? I'll come be your warm-up act, Sarah.
No, I'm going to be Lila's warm-up act, so it's okay.
This is not a super chat. I just wanted to share it. T. Daniel Ledford, thank you, sir, says, Lila is a firecracker, great for comedy, but she has all the tools needed to be a motivational speaker. It would be a sight to see her stand next to the giant Tony Robbins.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
There's only one time, I think, in my show that I didn't know how to transition because Lila had me laughing so hard I couldn't come back from it.
We had a good time. That was fun.
That was fun. Talking about farts and elevators. It was great.
Oh, yeah.
Funny enough, that's my next subject on the list today. I'm just kidding.
No, they had a COVID when COVID in 2020. They said that you could get COVID from farts, and I was afraid to go in elevators.
And she was like, "I'm at fart height."
I'm at fart height. I clearly can't go in elevators with other people. If we're really transferring COVID through farting, then I'm gonna get farted on, and I'm gonna catch it. So,
do you remember at the beginning? Were you more? I was, before we knew enough, before time passed. I was more. And I think rightfully so, worried about all the different ways you could contract it and stuff. And I remember at the very beginning, when there was like a run on masks and gloves and sanitizing stuff, the hand sanitizer. And my husband and I were driving back from Lubbock, Texas, which is like a 5-hour drive. And so we were just stopping at all the little Dollar Generals along the way and some of them were completely out of everything, but others. So we were stocking up where we could. Some of them did have stuff. And just to think back to how long ago that seems now that I know so much. But did you guys go through that period where you also were like, better safe than sorry? Let me get all this stuff that they're saying.
Oh yeah.
Not so much. I mean, I did. I mean, shoot, I've kind of been in different areas on it too. I mean, I would, wear a mask if the business required it. I got vaccinated specifically so I could take that. This was back in May of last year because I was having surgery in the fall, and I'm like, might as well get it so I don't have to worry about COVID. I mean, it was already at a point where it seemed like the vaccines were working a little bit, and So I did that. I'm not getting boosted. Even though the vaccine is safe and it works, we know this. Biden's had like 4 of them and he's going to be fine. So it's safe. It works. It's great. You know,
It works how? Because it doesn't prevent you getting the virus or transmitting
You
it.
know what? We're on YouTube.
Okay, you're right.
We love it. Okay, we are the biggest fans.
You're right.
And we love Biden. He's a fucking brilliant man.
He's amazing. Stop, repeat line. We love Biden.
I remember when because I was in Los Angeles all of 2020 and most of 2021. I have this clear memory of being at Costco at the very beginning of all this, and I was the only person in Costco with a mask on. And that's what is so weird to me, because it was like when this first came out, like we don't know anything about this. I was the only person in Costco with a mask on, and then months later, then I would be the only person without one.
Yeah.
So I feel like when this first hit, I'm like, we don't know what this is. I'm like, they're telling us all this scary stuff. We're seeing like body bags on TV over in China. There's some weird stuff going on. I was scared. I'm not gonna lie. I was scared. Mm-hmm. And I was watching the CNN stuff. I was watching it. But then over time, I was like, this is a little like my discernment in my soul was like speaking to me. And I was like, we need to go deeper. Then I went down my little rabbit holes and woke up to the truth. Mm-hmm. And now we're here. And that's why I'm in Texas. And that's why God blessed me with the two of you.
God bless Texas.
And that's what's interesting too, is because you guys are in Texas, I'm in Georgia. And Georgia, we opened up almost completely in June, right after. So we were the first to open up, and we opened up well before everybody else. So it was really interesting. It was really interesting because I had gone home back up to Michigan for 4th of July, and it was right after they had lifted all the mandates and stuff like that in Michigan. And it was funny because in Georgia, people voluntarily wore masks. And so they didn't have to be told to do all this stuff. They didn't have to be forced to do all this stuff. They were just doing it voluntarily. Going to Michigan, it was like when they told them they could take their masks off, they were like burning it. They were like, I'm done with this. And nobody wore them. It was like when you forced them to do it, then it was forced compliance. So they wouldn't like be civil disobedient. But as soon as you let it up, they were like going wild. It was like not drinking in high school and then going to college and getting alcohol poisoning,
Wow. I'm sorry, I've got a cough this morning, guys. Keeps creeping up on me. Okay.
We're sending you healing vibes, okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
In the chat.
I should put a mask on.
No, actually put 2 on. Put 2 on.
Yeah. That's what I should have done at flying home. This is the thing. So everybody, you can still get a cold. Colds still do exist. I got back from Vegas so I was in Michigan for 2 weeks, and then I was in Vegas last week. And I get back, and on Tuesday I have a scratchy throat, I have a headache, and I'm feeling very fatigued. So I have a cold. I tested that day and the next day, and it wasn't COVID, so I was fine. And then I woke up yesterday and I was feeling pretty good. So colds do exist. Maybe that will get us banned from YouTube too, but they do exist.
Yeah. We said some things in our book club discussion, the Fauci book, which I recommend that you go out and get this book. It's like an encyclopedia of everything that happened in the past 2 years, and a lot of things that we forgot about because there was so much stuff coming out. And just a history of all the censorship, the pressure, all the backtracking they did, the lies they told, and the corrections to the record and things like that. It's a great book. But in our discussion, one of the things we said, somebody was talking about garlic and how it's such a natural medicine to, and why. And I was like, you can't say garlic is medicine. Remember, there was that time on YouTube where they were really cracking down on this platform. If you were doing videos about vitamin C or vitamin D and how they're good for your immune system, blocked.
Yeah.
Like taking it
that's
down.
What's really interesting about it all too is because it was like different stuff was starting to come out, and it was just, it was minimal data, but like they were even saying cannabis was helping block the virus from being recepted by the system and everything like that. But it's interesting because am not somebody who gets sick very often. I've been sick 3 times in the last 3 years, and twice it was really close, and one of the times I did have COVID, but it was like actually, so 4 times then. But it's like everything that we did because of COVID just destroyed our immune systems even further. So, and then, yeah. So you're saying like YouTube blocked you from being able to say like all this stuff is actually good to boost your immune system so you don't get sick from other viruses. Like
Yes, Susan.
other viruses.
Susan, what's her last name from YouTube? She was doing interviews. This has been a while now. Susan Wojcicki, I can never say her name. The CEO of YouTube. She was doing interviews, and I remember this clearly. In one of the interviews, they were talking about how they were going to start cracking down on misinformation on the platform related to the COOF. And one of the things she said, as an example, in this TV interview was, people talking about vitamin C. And it's like, wow, I can't believe that you're going after like something like that. Like people just trying to boost their immune system, not even saying anything about, whether or not you should choose to do a jab or not, just saying these are things that give you a healthy immune system. Done. Take that down. Yeah.
It's insane. Yeah. But I mean, they're going after a whole host of stuff now, especially with now Twitter trying to censor even the word groomer, and stuff like that. So it's insane what they're going to start censoring.
Yeah. It's communism.
Actually, that kind of goes into it though. Do you guys think Elon Musk will buy Twitter? Like, what do you think is going to happen with that now?
What do you think, Lila?
I think that he did what he did to expose Twitter in a lot of ways. I don't know if he's necessarily going to buy it, but him doing everything he did exposed them, which was a good thing. So I think it was more of a move to expose them and force them to come out with stuff where people now know that they do censor and they do hide things and that there is a lot of bots on there. And had Elon Musk not, or had he not, tried to buy it, they wouldn't have been exposed in that way. So I think it was a smart move for him to do that either way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm aware.
I'm not going to answer because I don't really have an opinion. I haven't followed it that closely.
I think he. Yeah,
what do you think?
I think he will. I think so. I think he's going to get it at a very discount. So there's 2 things that I think could happen. So he's going to get it at a very discounted rate, or depending on because now they have to show the bot data in court, which they've been telling advertisers for years that they only have 5% bots. If that's not true, this could actually, I think it could actually take Twitter down.
Didn't they just admit that they've been double reporting some users, double counting?
They could have, which again, advertisers now, everybody that's ever advertised on the platform can go back and sue because they advertised and they paid a price for views that weren't actually views. They knew about 5% of their views were going to be from bots. If that's not accurate, then they were getting sold a bill of goods on their actual valuation of how much an ad view cost.
Right.
So it could be very detrimental to Twitter either way. So it's either he's going to get it and pay a very big discount for it, or I think we could see Twitter file bankruptcy fairly soon.
Really?
Probably. That's what I'm playing off of it, but I think so. It could be.
Sarah, I'm going to bring your mic up just a little because somebody says yours is a little bit lower than ours. There we go. Well, you mentioned this happened this week as well, and they'd been talking about doing it, and they finally did it. This is a headline from Breitbart. It says, woke Reddit bans the word groomer as hate speech. And this is true. You can no longer use the word groomer on Reddit. Reddit has banned the word groomer, a description of child predators who expose children to sexually explicit material, in what it says is an effort to tackle hate speech. The site also banned the claim, which until recently was a matter of mainstream psychology, that being transgender is a mental illness. In protest, some on social media have coined the term predator as a replacement for groomer. This is the problem with trying to censor language which they've been doing for a long time, but the more words that they add, the more modifications people will come up with.
Yeah.
They're going to find another word. The reason they're
Yeah.
banning this one is because it was so effective, the
Well,
way that people have used it.
I think the issue is like, you think about, they want to make words sound softer. For example, like PTSD is really being shell shocked. It's like you're shell shocked, but now we turn it into PTSD, where it's like it sounds a little softer than being shell shocked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's so it's saying like groomer, we're gonna take away that word because we all know what that means. But now let's change up the wording a little bit so people it sounds softer. It sounds like not as bad, doesn't sound as dangerous, and that's what they're doing. And when you are eliminating language like this, that is communism. We are living in a communistic type country right now, because we have stolen elections, we have words that people are changing up, and we're not allowed to speak the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And we are self-censoring out of fear. And that is communism. And it is sick, and it's sad, and it's just, it's really disturbing. But that's why this is so important, to be able to have these conversations, and more people need to be coming together and having these conversations. This is why they shut everything down.
Yeah.
It's because they didn't want people to go to bars or go to parties or be around each other and be like, hey, in person, hey, don't you think that's kind of weird what's going on?
Yeah.
These conversations, they wanted to eliminate all of that. So you are alone, just watching the news 24/7. You're not with your friends, where you can have these discussions and be like, hey, it's kind of strange what's going on. And you can wake other people up in person. That's why they did that.
Yeah. Because they can control what we say online and censor.
Yeah, they isolate you, because the reality is too, it's like, I think it's kind of funny. Like, we care so much about, when you're on Twitter or you're on Instagram, you look at people's like numbers and their followings, and we judge people based on that, right? But when you go in person, it's like, this is how I feel about myself. I only have 4,000 followers on Twitter, but I know that when I'm in person in front of real people listen to me. They like me in person. But we've put so much of this, like, we put so much on this online world, when it's really, we need to break out of this online world and connect with people in real life, and be kind to people when you can. Like, I've tried to make it a practice. Like, yesterday I was at the grocery store, and every person I saw, if I noticed something about them that I liked, like, there was a man, he was saying that I really liked his shirt, and I was like, oh, I like your shirt. And he smiled the biggest smile. And for me, it was like, that's my way of just spreading a little bit of joy. And if we could each just do that, have that human connection. I challenge everybody today that if you're out in the world and you see something, that just compliment people. People are craving that human connection, and we are so stuck on our phones, judging one another for how many followers you have, and basing how we treat people, like, oh, this person has 1 million followers, so I'm going to be extra nice to them. Oh, they only have 100 followers, so they don't really freaking matter. And that is what this kind of social media world has done. We have stopped treating people like humans. We treat people based on their numbers, their following, when in reality, in the real world, that's not how it is. And we need to really come together. And anyways, yes,
I always say, like, the best
together in person is what I'm saying.
We should hang out in person. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You guys are welcome in Texas.
You guys aren't that far from each other. Of course, when I come out to Texas, I will say hey, because we did last time I was out in Texas. So
yeah,
me and Keri have hung out in person in Texas, so that was fun.
It was fun. We went to Woke Congress and saw all the changes there, and went to a couple of shops. That was fun. I agree with you, Lila, and I've said this before. If people ask, like, if they get over that fear of speaking, like, what can they do? And the most important interactions I think you could have are in your real life with people who know you, because you're more likely to have an impact on opening someone's mind if you're willing to talk with them if they disagree with you. Like that woman I mentioned who was saying to me, she thinks it's great that we have fact checkers online. It's like, I'm friends with her. We're going to continue this conversation when I see her again. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and, I tend to meet people whenever I go out, and there's one person I've met recently. This is a good example. He runs an amazing antique shop. It's amazing. He's got the best stuff, the best incredible prices. He had a cougar that he sold for $250. Not to me. This is a story he was telling me. Couldn't believe he sold it for $250. Anyway, I've been in there a few times now. I love this guy. I talked to him. He is also an artist and knows how to renovate like different pieces of furniture into vanities, which is something I'm doing. And we've talked quite a bit now, and he's super woke. He's totally woke. The store is woke. All the symbols outside, everything about their online presence is over the top woke. And it's one of those things where I have a feeling at some point, if we continue on this path of friendship, he'll find out about me and about my show. Well, that's okay, because at that point, it's sort of like now he's met someone who doesn't agree with him all this stuff, but we are friends and we like each other. And so then there's that opportunity for understanding. Do you know what I mean? And open-mindedness.
Yes, absolutely. And it's
I have a lot
important.
of friends that I have a lot of friends. I mean, I have quite a few friends. I mean, I live in Atlanta, and there's quite a few people that are more left leaning, and some that are pretty far left. And you know what? We get along great. We just don't talk about politics, and I think that's the key thing is we just we don't.
Yeah.
They know who I am. They know what
And
I
they
do.
know your beliefs. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I know their beliefs, and it's like we just won't talk about that, and we'll get along great, and we will just agree to disagree on stuff. And I think that's what people need to start doing. Well, people can't, but you're right. People don't do that online. They want to get the clicks. They want the hot takes. So it's difficult.
I've
But
just come to this point too where like I had this girl, she made a video on my page and she was like angry with me, and I just responded back and I'm like, hey, what's going on? It sounds like you're having a bad day. And like, because I treated her like a human and I didn't attack her, she literally wrote me back and she was like, sorry, I was actually just having a mental breakdown. Don't listen to my craziness. And it was just kind of like, I'm not going to fuel people's hate. I'm going to treat them like a human being, and I'm not going to attack them because it literally is online. If people are being mean to me on my phone, I could just put it down and I could go spend time with my husband, go spend time with my mom and my dad, and I think that is what everybody online wants to be an activist, but it's like, why don't you just be an activist in your own home? Like really what Jordan Peterson says about cleaning your room, cleaning your surroundings, why don't you work on the relationship with your parents or work on the relationship with your brothers and sisters before you try to take on the world? Why don't you take on your own world? The way you change the world truly is by taking control of the world around you with the people that you actually see in real life.
Yes.
People. If you aren't able to be kind to those people, and if your room is a mess and your house is a mess, I'm sorry, I cannot take you seriously online.
Yeah. That's the kind of this is why we vibe so well too, Lila, because I personally, now I know people that use the word, but I detest the word activist. It makes me think of my old life as an SJW, and I don't consider myself an activist. I'm just someone who talks about my opinions online. And there are some people who get their panties in a wad and they get so full of themselves with this sort of like, I'm an anti-woke activist and what have you done compared to me? And it's like, I'm just living my life, dude. What is your okay, well, I'm buying a light fixture for my house right now. I'm just living my life. Get over yourself.
So many people are searching for purpose. Yeah. And activism, it seems like, okay, now I have a purpose. I have purpose. It's activism. I'm an activist. I have a title. I have this thing that I'm doing and I'm making a difference. So I also feel like the thing that's sad about it, it's like, it's actually coming from this place of desiring purpose and desiring to help. It's not coming from this evilness, but it turns into evilness when now it's like you're judging so many people and you're judging this and that, when it's like, take a look at your own life. Start from there. It all starts at home. And I feel like the best like advocates, or like, I love the fact that I spent 10 years in Los Angeles and I really understand the left because I lived in it. I was there. I was participating in that. I went to the parades. I was doing all of that stuff. And I truly like, even like in 2019, okay, in June, you have a Pride Month. And then in July, we have Disability Pride Month. Okay. I'm supposed to be proud of my disability. But the truth is, I'll be really honest with you guys. Okay. I would not wish disability on my worst enemy. Okay. you know, when you're pregnant, what do people say? I want a healthy baby. And I myself too, as a disabled woman, I want a healthy baby. I want a baby that's not disabled, okay? Because I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. So to glorify disability as this amazing thing, it's like, no, actually to have a disability and to overcome that is what's amazing. That is what's extraordinary. But to go around like Whitney Cummings, I'll show it to this thing where she's like talking about how she look, it's right here, where she
I'll
talks
look it
about
up.
taking back my life because of migraines. And it's like, no, it's just so disrespectful as somebody like me who actually has a disability, who actually had to overcome stuff, who couldn't just pretend. I couldn't hide this, you know?
Yeah.
But we've really just come to a point where we're celebrating these things. And the truth is, I don't have disability pride, okay? I am proud of the fact that I have overcome things, but I would not wish disability on anyone. And here's the craziest thing about disability. I just happen to be somebody who was born into disability, okay? But every person on earth will experience disability at some point in their life, especially if you are able to grow old. When you become old, you will experience disability. I am just somebody who was born into it. Okay. And it's like, I'm sorry, I'm just getting so passionate about this, but as somebody who's lived this, it really just saddens me that we are acting like this is this great thing. And it's not. I wouldn't
Glorification.
I
Yeah.
would not wish this on my worst freaking enemy. Okay, I'm grateful that I have been able to overcome, but I would not wish this on anybody. And I pray every day that when I do become pregnant, that my child is born healthy. But if God blesses me with a child that is disabled, I know I will be the best mom to be able to help my child navigate that because I've lived through it. But I still wouldn't wish that on my child because it is hard. It is not easy. People just see the Lila Hart that you see today, that's married, that's a homeowner, that's a stand-up comedian, but they don't see the Lila Hart who was 14 years old wanting to kill herself because of how ugly she felt her back was. And that was hard, but I overcame that. And so it really does sadden me and makes me sick that all these people are glorifying disability. Because it's not something to be glorified or celebrated. It's something to overcome. And, you know, I think the world should become more accessible. And that's what censorship is. Censorship is just like disability. Nobody cares until it happens to you. That's the truth. No one gives a shit about censorship until it happens to you. Then you care. Because my friends who told me they didn't want to share my documentary because they were afraid of being censored, that's what it is.
Yeah.
All right,
Honey, I love it. Don't apologize. I love your passion, and don't worry about tears either. Jordan Peterson, who you love, I've seen him get emotional videos, and I know people mock him for it, and I'm like, why would you mock him for that? Like, very real passion. It doesn't make any sense to me, so it never bothers me. But thank you.
It's great.
Yeah.
Passionate is good. It shows you care what you're talking about, and I love it.
Yeah.
That's why I think everybody loves you, Lila. Everybody loves you.
Yeah. I'm going to pull this article up since you talked about it so much. Whitney Cummings finally got her migraines under control. I think what it is what you're saying is it's sort of how it's a glorification. I've definitely seen this when it comes to some of the mental health problems. Like we said, DID, there's this explosion of young people now saying they have multiple personalities. And there's all these young people who are encouraged because mental health has been incorporated into this whole social justice ideology wherein you are given more status points, the more quote unquote marginalized you are. And since they're now saying mental health, people who have mental health issues are a marginalized group, then there's all these young people claiming proudly, like, I have borderline personality disorder and depression and anxiety and, migraines or whatever. I haven't read this. I'll just look through it. Whitney Cummings finally got her migraines under control after years of suffering. It blew my mind. So this is the whole crux of the article, I guess, is the migraines, right?
Yes, she wants her woke points for having a disability, and she wants to be, that's what this is about. And it's like, it really makes me sick.
Here, I remember being like, do people just move through the world without a throbbing head? The absence of migraines felt like an opioid. That's how wild it was. Yet, though she hasn't suffered an attack in over 2 years, Cummings still identifies herself as a migraine sufferer.
Wow.
Is it in her bio? I sometimes just want to new truth it and go, I used to have them and I don't anymore, she says. But she adds, she still feels a responsibility to talk about it, especially to other women sufferers. Quote, so many women are affected and they're losing a lot of their life force and time, Cummings said. Who knows how many are afraid to go live their bravest, fullest life because they're afraid they're going to get a migraine. In fact, 18% of all U.S. women suffer from migraine attack. Okay, go ahead.
No, I mean, you lost me at I identify as a migraine sufferer.
Yeah.
I identify as a migraine sufferer.
That's
not that
it.
You are. You're not. I mean, at this point, what's going on? Like, how do you identify as something?
She identifies as a victim. That's what it is. I identify as a victim, and that's what that's about. And it's like, that's not what I stand for. And it's like, it's just, when you do that, it takes away from people who actually have serious disabilities, who actually seriously have to overcome stuff. Like, hey, I'm sorry. This is,
My husband has suffered from migraines. I fortunately haven't. I think I've only ever had one that might be qualified as migraine. I don't even know because I don't have them. And I had a really, really bad headache once that was very different than others, but I have no idea. Anyway, but he regularly gets them. And he's told me it's also kind of blinding. Not regularly anymore, actually. I should say that. He used to get them a lot. I cannot imagine him saying, I identify as a migraine sufferer. Like, it's just something, it puts it in, that's who you are now. Do you know what I mean? That's who you are. And there's something wrong. Like, it locks you into that. Like you said, this victim mentality.
Anytime I hear that word identify, it just means that they're not really, but they want to be. You know, I don't even use the word identify in terms of, I don't identify as a woman. I have gender dysphoria. You know, like it's completely different way of looking at it. And yes, I can't say that on YouTube. I was gonna say, you know, gender dysphoria is in fact.
It used to be in the DSM, or it is.
Yes, it used to be. Okay. It's a sexual disorder. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a sexual identity disorder.
It's crazy how much we have to step around things now. It's amazing.
If it was my channel, I don't care. I'd say it. But every time I'm on your show, Keri, every time I'm on your show, I put on tinfoil hats and then I just go off the rails, and I think you're gonna cancel, but you never do. I know. So yeah, gender dysphoria.
No, not on this platform. I was lately. I have some opinions I've shared, which might be considered a little more in the realm of conspiracy theory. I was like, I need a tinfoil Stetson, like a cowboy hat tinfoil. And somebody on Twitter was like, why don't you just put tinfoil over a regular Stetson? I was like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Duh. That's what I gotta do. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with me today.
Yeah,
I just like, I like these kind of freeform conversations wherever they go. So I did want to read a couple things. Nerdy Girl says, was it a taxidermied cougar or a sculpture that I mentioned at the antique shop? It was a taxidermied cougar, and he gave it up for a really low price, man. You can find some good antiques in these small towns for good prices. And then Dion says, Lila is a diamond. Better a diamond with a flaw than a pebble without. Confucius. Dion always has the best quotes. Well, thank you guys again. Tell people where they can find you. I'm going to put this banner up for your Twitter handles.
Yeah, like I said, so youtube.com/Sara Higdon. And if you don't want to go on YouTube, because I might get banned, I am on Rumble. So go on Rumble or Odyssey. But Rumble is my next largest platform in terms of videos. I just started a Substack, and I do videos on there. I'm part of the beta program for the videos on there as well. So go check out some of that. I have some articles up there. And then yeah, you can get all my links on my website, sarahhigdon.com.
Awesome. I just want to say I thoroughly enjoyed my time with you ladies today, Keri and Sara. This was so amazing. You guys can find me at lilahart.com and at Love Lila Hart. And please check out American History of Voter Fraud. We are trying to get that to 10,000 views while it is still up on YouTube. And thank you so much. This was such a joy. I really had fun.
Bye, guys. And thank you guys for being in the chat today. See you later.
See ya.